The Decline of Britain and Riding the Tiger. Julius Evola was an Italian philosopher, writer, and esoteric thinker known for his harsh criticism of modern society and his belief in ancient spiritual traditions, kind of like Nietzsche but way more radical. He was also into mysticism, so any schizos would love him. His book, Revolt Against the Modern World, argued that modern society abandoned sacred traditions. Ride the Tiger was advice for maintaining inner strength in a declining modern world. I like to read Evola. When it comes to describing the Kali Yuga, Britain is currently in its Kali Yuga, a degeneration. You know, when democracy, equality, consumerism are prevalent, that means society is in decline. Evola believed only a small minority of people possess higher spiritual potential. He called these individuals differentiated men, spiritual aristocrats. Their role was to maintain inner sovereignty, even in a degenerate society. This is the theme of this book, Ride the Tiger. The idea is, if the world is collapsing, don't try to fix it. Master yourself and survive spiritually within it. And I find this is a good handbook for living in a collapsing society, which is what UK is. Let's be honest, I don't want to be negative or anything, but the UK is pretty much going to shit. That's the solution to living in a dying Britain: to be a warrior, practice spiritual detachment, courage and discipline, oppose modern society, rejecting modern trends. I don't care about Clavicular or Andrew Tate. I try to block any mention of them before I turn insane. And I more so prefer Dostoevsky. Mass culture is terrible. It's produced like a factory product. It spreads quick, attracts attention quickly, but it's the McDonald's of content. It's quickly consumed, quickly forgotten. Mass mainstream culture is very standardized. Pop songs are very similar to each other. Viral content has similar formats. You know, like all these streamers sitting in an empty mansion with nothing in the background. That's the highest form of art that modern Western society looks up to these days. This is what the youth watch. Marvel movies, the death of cinema. Yeah, mass culture is terrible, and going against the mainstream, having your own niche community and your own niche personality, alternative culture. And I don't mean like alt fashion, because even that is mainstream these days. You have the goth clothes which everyone's wearing. No, it's actually being alternative, moving different, being different. Modern egalitarianism, the pursuit of making everyone equal. Liberal democracy has killed individualism and made everyone the same. There's a lack of true good and hierarchy. There's a management class of soy narcissistic retards who oppress us instead of uplifting us. True hierarchy would favor strong leaders who got there from being heroic and intelligent. Instead, the modern leaders are scared, insecure, kind of loserish. Think of how Elon was begging it on Epstein Island. The modern aristocracy, if you can even call them that, are hedonistic and pleasure-seeking. There's a death of traditional aristocracy in modern British society. We don't have good people above us anymore. I like to contrast Princess Diana with Prince Andrew.
In her chest.
Traditional aristocracy valued self-restraint, dignity, and Diana displayed all these consistently in public appearances. Prince Andrew is just a nonce who sits around all day doing nothing. Just a net negative to society. All of your taxpayers' contributions, all your hard work is going to fund a fat nonce. Aristocrats should be strong, virtuous, and high energy. None of our leaders are high testosterone. They're kind of these soy boys who have recessed jaws. Our leaders are usually unathletic and unimpressive looking. Vitality, vril, is dead in modern Britain. Vril has been replaced with soy, seed oils, gynocracy. Women are in charge. Men have to follow women. Modern Britain is the longhouse. The longhouse is an idea that comes from traditional communal houses used by some ancient societies. Large structures where many families live together under shared rules and authority. The metaphor was later popularized online to describe a highly communal, consensus-driven social order where individual dominance or hierarchy is discouraged and harmony with the group is prioritized.
The basic idea, I suppose, is that, we live in a world that is, in many respects, antithetical to men, to masculinity. We're subject to sort of feminizing customs and feminizing speech codes, and we're in female-dominated institutions, or increasingly female-dominated institutions, and there's just no space for men to be men, for men to develop as men specifically, not just as human beings. So the Longhouse moniker itself comes from the sort of deep history of Europe, from the time before the Indo-European invasions of Europe about 5,000 years ago, when the Neolithic farmers of Europe, this sort of precursor civilization, lived in longhouses. And there's one school of historical analysis that says that the society they lived in was a gynocentric or a matriarchal society, dominated by women, worshipping these sort of mother goddess figures that you see in the famous Venus figurines, like the Venus of Willendorf. These huge, sort of massive hipped, huge arsed clay figurines that you see. But there's a lot to unpack in that idea, and there's a lot of quite surprising things to say. For instance, a lot of people don't know that the historical materialist account of history that you find in Marxism is rooted in an idea that before there was class society, man lived in a matriarchal system, and patriarchy arose in tandem with class society. So the first class society was the first patriarchy. And so this idea was most fully developed by Friedrich Engels in his book, The Origin of the Family, Private Property and the State, which he wrote after Marx's death. But Marx was also, this was an idea I think that Marx had as well himself. He just didn't get to develop it because he died. But the clear implication of this historical materialist scheme, then beginning in matriarchy and then passing through patriarchy, is that when you overthrow class society, what you're going to do, in a sense, is return to matriarchy. And not a lot of people seem to know that about Marxism, that is actually not only the account of man's history, of the development of man's history, but also the prediction for man's future, that he would return to a kind of matriarchy. And in many respects, we're seeing that happen. And Engels talked about the destruction of the nuclear family and all sorts of other things like that. He didn't really sort of go into depth about his predictions, what a future classless matriarchy would look like. But we can speculate, and we can look at the behaviour of radical feminists and Marxists and leftists in the 20th and 21st century and get quite a good idea of where we're heading. So,
have you noticed that's what gets you ahead in modern society? Feminine behaviour. If you want social media clout, you have to become a bitch. You have to act like a woman. In a job interview, you must act like a woman. You have to be extremely agreeable. Think about in society in general, everyone's focused on grooming, fashion, maintaining a socially presentable self. The performative male who has to wear these long flared jeans and read these romantic soft boy books. You have to soften your speech using collaborative or inclusive language. Soyciety is here to stay. In college, my teacher literally said I was making the classmates uncomfortable just because I was acting like a man and they were intimidated by my aura. Social media is feminine. It's hard to really be masculine on here. Likes, comments and shares spike when content is relatable, empathetic or emotionally engaging. Seeking validation, living for attention, it's really effeminate behavior. The masculine is fine with not being known by anyone, being in solitude, not really caring about being accepted by society. Of course, as a man, it's good to be hygienic, but I always say masculinity should be rugged and rough looking, kind of broken, like a mechanic who's all covered in dirt after a long day of hard work, or a soldier in the trenches. Britain is technologically advanced, but spiritually shallow. Gaming as well. The modern gaming industry is so bad. It could be its own video, but I find gaming was an art form created in capitalism only in the last 30 years, so it's been destroyed. There's no good new games out there without DEI or live service models, which are hellish in itself. People always tell me gaming isn't dead, just play Left 4 Dead 2. Like, bro, Left 4 Dead 2, that game came out in 2009. You're telling me to play a 17-year-old game. There hasn't been anything good in the past probably 12 years when it comes to AAA titles, in my opinion. Maybe even more. Oh, what about Red Dead 2? I don't really think that game was amazing anyway. There literally hasn't been anything. Cyberpunk was good, but there hasn't been masterpieces to me since like COD Black Ops 3 or Battlefield 4 or the Arkham trilogy. Elden Ring is not a good game. That's just a loop of hell. You're just running around, causing hell, being hell. It's a headache. It's designed to really destroy you mentally and break you down. The pursuit of profits, but also not knowing how to make true art anymore, in my opinion, is why Western society is in decline. Look at buildings too. There's no more good architecture. I always say we don't spend 300 hours on cathedrals anymore. We just build these ugly neo-brutalist buildings in favor of efficiency. South Korea is a hyper-efficient society, but it's spiritually dead and birth rates are collapsing. People are extremely unhappy. We need to start rejecting efficiency and start favoring meaning, beauty, and art. It's the only way. Italy have a great relationship with leisure. The people there are relaxing, eating olives and talking to each other. Germany has more vacation time. It's more efficient. 35-hour work weeks on average. Lots of paid vacation and emphasis on personal time. Contrast that with South Korea, which is notorious for death by overwork. Guarosa. The people there are perpetually unhappy, and the UK is becoming a lot like South Korea. I'm against passive consumption. Look at kick streamers. I hate meme slang a lot. Yeah, we're cooked, bro. Or saying unk, calling people unk. Bro's pushing 30. All these terms don't really mean anything. Just generic words people say on social media. I reject all of it, and I strive to be a unique individual away from the herd. The channel Hyperborean Knowledge, shout out to him. That's a great schizo channel. He spoke about how Western society is turning into South Korea, with its focus on competition and striver culture. Everyone's trying to be as good looking as possible, choosing the collective over individuality. It's no longer about what you want, it's about what society wants of you. And you need to fit into the collective by being exactly like everyone else. Looks maxing is gonna destroy people. I find that it neglects the other components towards attraction or aura or whatever, like charisma, right? It neglects charisma and the spiritual levels to reality. It only focuses on the 3D. And the 3D is important, right? The material is important, but it's not everything. That's why I could never get behind the Black Pill fully. It's one big psyop, a Peter Thiel transhumanism psyop to make us hyperfixate on looks, hate ourselves, focus on the limitations of humans instead of just enjoying life and taking everyone for their individuals with hopes and dreams that they are. No, everyone's now a quantifiable metric. It's shallow, it's dehumanizing, and I don't want no part of it. It promotes defeatism. Just because my bones are aligned a certain way, it's over. I say to that, even in a collapsing world, I master myself. Nietzsche said, marriage as long conversation. When marrying, you should ask yourself this question. Do you believe you are going to enjoy talking with this woman into your old age? Everything else in a marriage is transitory, but most of the time that you're together will be devoted to conversation. Yeah, you both look good for a few years, sure, but after that, it's about who are you both really underneath all of the skin, the materialism, the 3D, the shallow. You're only really beautiful during a short window of like 10, maybe 15 years in your 20s, early 30s, depending on how well you age. Of course, beauty is a good thing. A great thing to strive for is looking good, being lean and healthy. That's good, that's moral, but you're not meant to only strive for that over all else. It shouldn't be a matter of give me beauty or give me death. I believe in give me freedom or give me death. Evola would be into transcending the age instead of falling into despair. I generally love life-affirming philosophy instead of life-denying. That's why I just don't care about the prison planet theory or blackpilling myself constantly. I don't care about constantly just looking at what the elites are doing or the elites this and that. Sure, there's a time and place for that. Sometimes I research it, but it's not everything. I'd rather focus on the spiritual components of looking into my own soul and fixing my soul and healing rather than looking at Epstein and all that. But yeah, of course, we shouldn't fully forget about that either. Just making the whole world soy, I feel like the whole world is turning soy. The burgers are becoming less meaty. At least in the past, they used to actually use meat. Now they're just giving you lab-grown seed oil trash. But yeah, one must ride the tiger through this decaying British society.